Hello, I'm Beelzebub and welcome to my channel. It's quite often that theists will ask atheists why we talk about religion so much. And it's not like we believe in any gods, and our knowledge of religion does seem to be disproportionate considering our lack of belief. And sometimes our knowledge of religion can even dwarf that of the believer in our religion. Well, I can't speak for the reasons other people on here have, but I'd imagine theirs is similar to mine. I talk about religion so much because I have to deal with religious people on a regular basis. And an unfortunate number of religious people hold political power and want to either blur or erase the dividing line between church and state. And whether we're talking about Trump, Pence, Betsy DeVos, or a politician on a more local or state level, there are politicians out there who would like to scrap the Establishment Clause of the First Amendment. But Christians aren't the only religious group that would love to see that happen, so why don't I go after the other groups? It's simple. They don't have the same amount of power and influence, and I don't deal with them as regularly as I deal with Christians. What's interesting is that some friends of mine and some pundits on TV talk about how much of a danger the religion of Islam is to America. And while I absolutely agree that Islam has its place on the list of dangers to America as a secular democracy, I see Islam as being fairly far below Christianity on that list. Say what you will about the dangers of radical Islam. There, you got me to say it, Republicans. A liberal atheist just said radical Islam. Are you happy now? It's not as prevalent as the violent nature of radical Christianity in America. While there have been Islamic terror attacks in America, the number of Christian terror attacks is larger. Whether we're talking about the Oklahoma City bombing, and some of you might be old enough to remember that, attacks on abortion clinics or KKK-related terrorism, there's no lack of violence coming from Christians. But I'm not really here to talk about Christian terrorism. I'm a little more interested in power dynamics. Let's talk about Trump's pick for Supreme Court Brett Kavanaugh real quick. Here's a guy who has no respect for church-state separation. In fact, he directly opposes it. Here's a guy who believes that public schools should be allowed to sponsor prayer, by which I mean teachers and school administrators can force students to pray to their version of God, whether it's a version that the students accept, if students accept a version of God at all. And that there should be religious exemptions for businesses, even at the expense of women, LGBTQ people, or religious minorities. And this is a guy who clearly has one particular kind of religious belief in mind. But with demographic changes, this will likely backfire since religious nuns, and I mean N-O-N-E-S, not to be confused with nuns that you see in like habits, are growing in number. But don't worry, we won't be vicious to you the way you have been to us. And not only are religious nuns on the rise, the Muslim population is growing in America as well, all while Christianity is on the decline. So there's another way the precedent he would help set could backfire on him and Christians like him. Look, I'm of a mind that no religion should have legal power over anyone, considering the number of people who would disagree with whatever religion happened to be in power at the time. And apparently the Founding Fathers were of the same mind as me, otherwise the Establishment Clause of the First Amendment wouldn't exist. So my curiosity is, what will happen when America's demographics change? What happens when Christians are no longer the majority? The precedent these people are trying to set is going to screw them and potentially all of us with our pants on. You know what system is best for maximum religious freedom? the one we're supposed to have now, where religious institutions aren't supposed to interfere with politics or talk about politics from the pulpit. It'd be great if that were actually enforced, though. But the IRS is terrified of religion and rarely, if ever, enforce 501c3 tax laws that are intended to remove tax exemptions from churches who violate these rules. They're terrified of being labeled as anti-religious. And they should actually put that label on me. At least then it'd be accurate. That'll do it for this one, though, everybody. If you enjoyed it, please leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and share the video. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter, linked below, to keep up with all my comings and goings. Take it easy, everyone, and I'll see you all in the next one.